Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Hey, welcome on in to Missoula Real Estate Today. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, who brings us great guests every single week, including someone who's been on the program before, Katie Deuel. Katie is Executive Director of ReSource, a community sustainable center. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
How'd you become involved with ReSource? How long you been doing it and all that?
I've been Executive Director there for 6 years.
Okay.
And, before that, everybody knows about ReSource, so certainly was a customer and used it some. It's just a pleasure to work there.
And what about your staff? You obviously don't go solo on ReSource.
No,
right?
Sure enough, I don't.
Yeah.
We have 20 staff
Wow.
who work in a variety of ways. The most of them work in our building materials reuse center part, the store. Mm-hmm. That's what people are familiar with.
And you said you were a customer first. What told you? What told you folks, or told you specifically? I want to get involved, or I'm interested in this because there was obviously a demand for what you could offer, right? What was it that you saw that you knew there was a demand for all this?
Well, what I saw coming in was that there was a thriving business there, and what I love about ReSource is that we're both providing a service to the community by taking materials that would otherwise be thrown out, sure, and providing them at affordable prices to the community. And then beyond that service, there's this viable business, and we get to work with all kinds of neat people and provide other services in the meantime. So it's a great platform, not just what we do, but explain to people why we do it and how that benefits all of us.
I imagine the customers, when they come in, you get that, oh, wow, every single day because people didn't necessarily know. I didn't know you sold that. I didn't know you had that here.
Right. Yeah, people do. For some people, it's just a big treasure hunt coming into ReSource. Some people come often enough. They have a pretty good sense of what we have. And right. Some things we have all the time, like tons of nails, literally.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, let's start getting to that. What all does ReSource offer?
So our retail store, we really sell reused building materials, and we try to focus on that. And that said, we get all kinds of fun and interesting things in there. And we never know what people are going to use those materials for. I think that's the most exciting part. The store is just full of possibility. People might need a door, and they come in to get a door. Or people might need a desk, and they come in to get a door to make a desk. Or they turn a window into a picture frame. Or there's so many creative reuse opportunities there, and we never know what people are going to do.
Yeah, and that's really the cornerstone of what all you have to offer, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Your website says you stock I hope I jotted this down right, you stock a wide variety of building materials and many things that, with a little creativity, can be building materials for your next DIY project. What would be some good examples of that? You talked about, somebody coming in looking for a door and they find a window, but as far as the creative aspect, did you know that you might be able to use this for that kind of stuff?
Well, personally, I'll say that one of my all-time favorite gifts from my family was when my children bought a shutter and turned it into an earring holder for me. They saw what a mess my jewelry was. And people do that kind of thing all the time. Come in and Halloween costumes. I know someone took a water pump for an old Ford. I don't know what it was doing at ReSource, but we take things like that sometimes and turned it into a beautiful art piece.
Wow.
Yeah. Funny things like that. A ski fence or chair.
And you're there to offer friendly suggestions in case somebody's holding up an item and going, I don't know what this is and I don't know what I would do with it.
Yes.
You explain this is what it is, but here's what you might be able to do with it.
Yeah. And I think most people come in with some rough idea of what they want, and then we're there to provide those little maybe reality checks of this can work this way or this can work that way. And
you just never know what might become an earring holder.
That's right.
at Home Resource. This is Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate and our guest, Katie Deuel, Executive Director of Home Resource. I also love your slogan on your website, Katie. If you can find it, we have it. Your inventory can fluctuate very, very often, right?
Absolutely. That is one of my favorite sayings as well. And it really reflects that what we sell is what is donated to us. And everything we do is based on what the community gives us.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. And we, like I said, some things we have very regularly and you can rely on getting, and then other things you don't know. The inventory changes every day.
And we're visiting with August. Is this a time of year where you have a lot? Does that kind of ebb and flow depending on the season?
It sure does. Yeah, I think the weather impacts us when people have time to do projects and when they're willing to tackle a remodel or something. So, when it's very cold or it's very hot, people maybe stay inside a little bit more. Yeah.
And everyone and anyone can shop Home Resource. Yet there's no qualifications, no memory, anything like. Everybody's welcome to come in and shop.
Everyone is welcome, and that it's true because we're a business, but it's true philosophically too. It's really important to us that we're providing that community, as you said at the beginning. We're a community sustainability center, and everyone is welcome to come there and get creative thoughts or get what they need. And it's just important to us that we represent the whole community and people feel like they can come in and get the service they need.
Pretty convenient hours, too, I noticed. It's not like a facility that, well, you've got to be here between 10 and 1 on Wednesdays or something like that. Pretty convenient shopping hours.
We do, yeah. We're open 9 to 6, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5:30 on Friday and Saturday, assuming people are a little more ready to get home, and then 10 to 4 on Sunday.
Very good. Let's talk more about how you go about acquiring that inventory, and if you would, follow that up with donation guidelines, because I don't want anybody listening to think, okay, I got a bunch of junk here. I guess I'll just go throw it in Home Resource's front yard.
Thanks, we appreciate that.
It's probably
it happens sometimes. I know.
Yeah, you got some guidelines for obvious reasons.
We do, sure. So we do get all our materials. They're donated by the community. We have a pickup service. If there's an item that's too big to fit in your vehicle or you're unable to move it yourself, you can give us a call and we'll come pick it up for you. But it's the center of our organization. You pull up to Home Resource and there's a big sign. You go through the gates and it's our donation center, and there are people out there taking things. And they again, because our inventory changes so quickly, some things change what we can take and can't take, and we'll take a look at it. We always tell people, just if you're not sure, we'd love to bring it. Let us take a look at it, and just know that we can't guarantee that we can take everything. Maybe we have too many of that thing right now. Maybe it's cracked or not useful in a way that you can't see yourself. So, but we love it when people think of us, and yeah.
And I'm sure you try to be very, very flexible about that, but at the same time, you have to evaluate the amount of space it's going to take up, and somebody has to look at it and go, I'm not sure that's an item that we could sell.
Absolutely. And sometimes there's another place for that. There's another store or that could use that resource. And then sometimes it really does just need to go in the garbage, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guest, Katie Deuel, Executive Director of Home Resource. Katie, deconstruction services, that is, if I understand it correctly, that is a partnership with another business that you're close to. Am I right? Explain how deconstruction projects work.
Absolutely. So Home Resource, originally when right after they started, we were founded in 2003, we did take on deconstruction as a service that we provided the community. We always charged for that service, but we heavily subsidized it. And a couple of years ago, we realized that it was doing well enough on its own that it could stand as a for-profit in the community. And there are other deconstruction businesses as well as Home Resource that are for-profits. So we spun them off to do their own piece. And now Montana Deconstruction Services is the business that came out of that. And they donate all the materials that they deconstruct to Home Resource. Wow. So we still get those materials. They don't have to maintain a yard, and the community gets the benefit of those things. And they do the business that they do really well, which is taking buildings apart.
That has to be an awful lot of stuff, I would think.
It also comes and goes.
A little overwhelming?
Yeah, it's great. And the deconstruction is neat because it brings in a different type of stuff. when I'm remodeling my house, maybe I have a cabinet that I'm tired of. But when they take down a whole house or take a second floor off, we're getting 2x4s and just a different type of material, and creates a great diversity for our customers.
Yeah. If there is a structure that's going to be torn down, is that a job that you or Montana Deconstruction would submit a bid on, or how does it end up in your hands usually? You said that they donate all the materials, but there's a step in between.
Sure.
So how do they end up with those jobs that you eventually get to benefit from?
They, as their own business, people may come to them and ask for deconstruction services. Or if people contact us, we let them know what's available out there, and we mention that we work with Montana Deconstruction Services to do that. Then the homeowner or the contractor, and often it's a contractor who's eager to donate those materials back to a place where they can be reused, we'll get in touch with them. They'll do the work, and then they just pull up with their loads when they're ready to donate something.
I want to back up a few minutes. I should have asked you this when you were talking about donations, but does anything kind of jump out in all the years that you've been with Home Resource? Anything just really, really unusual that you thought, well, that's not really what we would merchandise, but what the heck, why not? It's just weird enough for Missoula that maybe somebody will want it.
Yeah. Honestly, there are probably a lot of those items.
Yeah.
Nothing is coming to mind except some funny things like, sometimes people donate something and we found like a dead cat in something, or we found sacred items in things too. We got a cabinet that had a beaded eagle feather that clearly is part of a native tradition, and so we try to track those people down.
Yeah.
But otherwise, lots of fun things come in, and we have a donations policy that's online. So if people are curious roughly what we're taking, they should just look at our website. That said, fun things come in and we think, well, what the heck? Let's give it a try. Like, I'm sure that Ford water pump, that's not a building material, but it is now.
Somebody will want that for a lamp.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm glad you brought that up about your website, because I did notice that it doesn't only discuss items that you will accept, but you have a lot of dimension guidelines.
Oh,
too,
sure.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. Just we try to provide enough information that people don't put a ton of time and energy into bringing us things that we can't take, because nobody feels good about that. We all feel better when we can say yes and people feel good about what they've brought.
Sure. You can buy materials at Home Resource. You can donate materials. You also job training programs. I thought that was very, very interesting. Who comes to you, and what skills are they typically hoping to learn?
It depends on who comes to us.
Right.
So that's a great question, and we do offer those job training programs to people who are experiencing barriers to employment, whatever it is. I always say it's youth to age, physical disabilities, histories of incarceration or addiction, all of those things that can trip us up when it comes to showing up in the workplace. And so the most important thing that we do is provide people a place where they can work and feel good about the work that they're doing and learn skills at whatever level they're ready to learn them. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we give them a job reference, which is, studies have shown, it's just the most important thing to take you out the next step into the workplace. But, materials identification, some basic safety skills, both handling and basic woodshop safety skills, all of those are things, and customer service are things that come up in our jobs.
And there's a couple categories there. You have youth programs. We'll get to the work programs here in a second, but you do offer youth programs.
We do.
as well. And what all goes on at that level, and how do youth come to you to learn?
So any youth is welcome to come to us. Typically, if someone's hearing this radio show and says, I want to work at Home Resource, give us a call. Kind of the point there. But typically what we do is we work with area high schools and youth homes, and they'll say, we have some students who are interested in coming to work at Home Resource. And then we work around their school schedule, and they get credit in the intern program, school credit for it as well. We pay them. We get as much, we have a ton of work to do at Home Resource, so it only makes sense, right? Like this sort of endless work. So people can come and help us in that way. The other thing that we get out of it is just the joy and pleasure of meeting all these great people, and they're contributing to our community.
Is there, I guess there would have to be some kind of a fact-finding mission in there, but is there an interview process? Or I don't want to say a screening. I don't want to say a screening process, but okay, Katie, welcome to Home Resource Youth Program. What is it that interests you, or what is it you think you might like to learn a little bit about?
There is a process like that. We do. We ask people to fill out an application, and then we interview everyone. And with those youth, often it's the first interview they've ever had. Yeah. And we have stopped in the middle and said, so if you ever do another interview, maybe answer the question this way. Like, don't answer it that way. And then they try it again. We try to make it very informal and comfortable, but also real enough that they really feel supported and that they're learning something right from that first moment of the interview process. And then we do like to ask, what do you want to learn and how can we support that learning? It's not a ton of time. It's a school credit, usually 150 hours. But that's usually enough for people to really get a lot out of it.
Well, and I would think at that age, that's not a bad teachable moment either. It might cause a little bit of an awkward moment, but you would like to think that the next time they are interviewed, that's something that they can take with them.
For sure. And I think a lot of people they don't know what they can expect in a job. They don't know when they get their paycheck or how they get their paycheck or what the basic rules and expectations are. And when they have this friendly landing place to learn all that, then when they go into another job, it's easier for everybody.
What is the typical reaction of youth who have gone through this program? They worked with you for a little while. They've fulfilled a 150-hour commitment or whatever, and they're done, and you go to them and say, well, what did you think?
Yeah.
I'm hoping you say it's really rewarding, because it sounds like it would be.
It most people find it really rewarding, and it's amazing. And we had one woman who I visited with recently. We always do an exit interview with people when they're done, and she had worked a little bit after her internship as well at Home Resource. And when she was ready to be done, she said, I said, well, is there anything else I have this list of questions. Yeah. At the end, I said, is there anything else you'd like to say? And she had got this funny look on her face. And I thought, she's going to let me have it. A lot of teens aren't afraid to do that.
Right.
But she said, no, it's okay. I'm just going to cry. That was the most empowering experience of my life. I learned to organize things. I'm so grateful to Home Resource. So those are the things that it supports our whole community.
Oh, that is really, When I asked you if it was rewarding, you nailed that one right there. It's Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And our guest is Katie Deuel. Katie is the Executive Director of Home Resource here in Missoula, really in the heart of Missoula. We'll get to more information on location later in the show, but right on Wyoming Street, pretty easy to get there. Katie, we talked about youth programs. That differs from work programs, which are more for adults, young and old alike. And I imagine a number of them have been on some long, hard journeys and seeking some stability in their lives.
I would say that's really a great way to put it. And they're at a place in that journey where they're ready to commit to a workplace. And those folks come to us from all different places, and same thing. They apply for the position, and then they tend to work, that's much longer term, and they work more, and they really become part of the fabric of our organization while they're there. And they help us a ton. It's really a pleasure.
Is it a similar process? You talked about the interview and screening process for youth. Is it a similar process before you bring on adults to work with Home Resource?
It is, yeah. And really anyone who works at Home Resource, we do that interview process, and then we give them an orientation and try to set them up in their work in a way that they're starting with something that seems pretty straightforward and build those skills over time.
And workshops are probably full of surprises for participants and a lot of fun, I imagine. When they see how items they might have perceived as trash are really treasure, because that's kind of that's part of the mission, right? Is that
absolutely.
We don't want you to throw things away. Our goal is zero waste, which we'll talk about in a few minutes here. But there's got to be some moments there where, gosh, that never would have occurred to me.
I think that's right, and we like to say that we're here to realize the potential of people materials, and community. That all of those things are there, and we just want to bring it out and let it shine. So we do have community workshops.
Yeah.
Usually it's a group of folks who get together and say, we want to do this, or we want a little shop training, and we build things in the shop and teach safety skills, and people get to use power tools. And and then they come out with usually something they can take home or something that we then donate to the community. We've had youth home kids come and build garden beds for the food bank. It's a perfect example of that. Nice circle of everybody helping each other out.
Now, do you have a set schedule for those, the community workshops?
We don't. It's really, we have days of the week that work better for us to offer them, but really we just look for the community to come and say, we have this group of people and we'd like to learn these skills.
And the adults learning skills in the work programs, when can they only put in a certain amount of hours before they have to? Is it a similar exit strategy to the youth programs that you have?
So we partner with a number of agencies in town with our adult work programs, and so usually those parameters are set by those people.
Okay.
Yeah. And then some folks, when they finish whatever program they're in, we hire them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're pretty well connected by now. You know all of those organizations. All of those organizations probably know you.
I hope so, but if there's an organization out there that doesn't, here we are.
Yeah, of course. This is Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guest is Katie Deuel, Executive Director of Home ReSource here in Missoula. Special thank you to some of Diane's marketing partners, too, that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today every weekend. Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Katie, another facet of Home ReSource. How do you explain the concept of zero waste to people? I'm sure you are no stranger to skepticism when you have to share that vision.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, what comes to mind when you think zero waste? I mean, are you thinking no way? These people are dreamers? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think really we like to think of zero waste as the North Star. It's the direction that we're going. And actually the very technical definition of zero waste is zero waste or darn near.
Okay.
And
I like that.
Yep. Because we recognize there always will be things that we end up throwing away. It's just that there's so many things that we currently throw away that really don't need to be thrown away, and they're much better uses for. So we have worked with the city to, and I should add too that zero waste, again, in a more technical definition of it, it includes both materials and toxins. We're trying to reduce both of those in our community. Our focus is more on the material end, but the toxic piece is important too when we think about zero waste as a movement, and it's an international movement. Mm-hmm. But we worked with the city of Missoula, and they have a zero waste resolution and a plan to get there. The plan is called 0 by 50, and the goal is that we reach 90% waste reduction by 2050. So that's a good sense. That's what zero waste might be.
How would you grade Missoula or compare it to other communities similar in size and personality, if you will? I'm assuming that the makeup of this community, we're pretty good as far as not being overly wasteful. But what are your thoughts? How do we do?
Question. So it might be a little shocking. We don't have statistics on Missoula, but Montana in general recycles less than other states. We're one of the worst in terms of recycling across the country. But I believe that it's not our Montana ethic is very conservative. We don't like to waste, and we don't like to throw things away. So our take on it is that we don't have the opportunities to do things. We all know in Missoula, and we have a community that really wants to do the right thing. That's okay. In terms of waste, they don't want to throw it away if they don't have to throw it away. That's what I mean. And so, but sometimes we can't recycle things like glass. We can't recycle right now. And there's some plastics that we can't. And these things are controlled by how close we are to ports and global markets and commodities and things that we have no control over. But part of what we're trying to do is make those opportunities much more available. The city owns the compost facility. People often don't know that up to 20% of what goes into the garbage, into the landfill, is food waste. there are other things to do with that. Across the nation, over 60% of the waste in our landfills is construction and demolition waste. So that's our piece that we're working on, is trying to reduce that. So it's very doable. There are things we can do. And what I love about this community and what we do so well is our motivation and interest to do that.
We got potential, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we've got the more than potential. We've got the sort of the community energy going in that direction.
How about any success stories that you are particularly proud of as far as something that Home Resource has accomplished in the years that you've been there?
Yeah, there are a number. I'll touch on a couple, but one is around zero waste and working with the city to create this resolution for our community, and then create that we can actually do it, and recognizing how doable that is, and getting that community buy-in and commitment to bring us that next step of sustainability. That feels so good, and that the number of partners that we work with every day to get there feels really important. We also have a education program, our Zero Waste Ambassadors program. So it's an acronym, and it comes out ZWAP. and maybe you can hear the exclamation mark on the end, ZWAP. Knock out waste in Missoula. That's our tagline.
That's a bit of a stretch for an acronym, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yeah, people. It can be hard to pronounce. Not intuitive, but we have fifth graders. They get a classroom visit where we come to them, and then they come to Home Resource and do a whole bunch of activities, and they just learn all about the circular economy and where things come from and where they go, and they leave empowered to make choices that help us get there. It's really fun. The students, they draw pictures about where we're going, and it's neat to see where they go.
My gosh, we're down to a couple of minutes here. We got to get this in. You've got an event coming up, Spontaneous Construction. I love that, too. Spontaneous Construction, September 14th. Tell us about that.
We affectionately call it SponCon. Maybe another one of those funny acronyms. Yeah, so it's a building contest, and we call it the Festival of Creative Reinvention. We have up to 25 teams who come on site. They get 7 hours and any material that they want to use from the store. And they just plug in and build whatever they want to build. And we get...
Wait, now they don't know what they're going to build until they see what you give them to build?
Well, so Denny, there's a lot of discussion about this. I think some people plan ahead a little bit, but there are other teams that are fully spontaneous. Okay. Right. And part of the spontaneity is not knowing what we're going to have available on site. So they come and they see what they've got, and then they make what they can out of it. People make incredible, beautiful things. The event is open to the whole community. We have tons of activities for everyone on site, as well as an opportunity to observe the teams as they work. Then we have a big celebration afterwards and a little awards ceremony. And then we'll take those items out to the public. The new Mercantile Hotel just agreed to host those items for the month of October.
Excellent. And the competition is at Home Resource?
It's at Home Resource. Okay. It's all day. Kids' activities start at 11.
Okay.
And music starts first thing in the morning. The contest starts at 9. Usually people are just getting warmed up.
Are you full, or can you still sign up?
You can still sign up.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we have a couple spots left for teams.
All right. Katie Deuel, Executive Director of Home Resource here on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere. And Katie, how do we find Home Resource, contact information and all of that?
Fantastic. We are at the corner of Russell and Wyoming, right where all the construction's been. You probably didn't miss it. But and just check out our website, www.homeresource.org, for lots more information.
You did a great job. I appreciate you coming on Missoula Real Estate Today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. We hope you found this morning's information to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for any future Missoula Real Estate Today programs, or any questions about buying or selling, contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com. or visit our website, homesinmissoula.com. That's homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.